The ancient Norse didn't see thunder as a natural phenomenon. For them, every crack in the sky was the sound of divine wheels crossing the cloud. It was Thor crossing the heavens. But to truly understand who Thor was, we need to understand something bigger. Thor is not just the story of a warrior god. It's the story of an entire civilization trying to answer one question. How do you protect order in a universe doomed to collapse? And it's precisely in the subplots. The political games of Asgard and the inevitable omens that the true greatness of this story reveals itself. Chapter 1, Thor and the Weight of Being Odin's Son. One of the most important subplots in Norse mythology is the tension between Thor and his father, Odin. Popular culture tends to portray this relationship as simple, but it's far more complex than that. Odin represents strategy, knowledge, intellectual sacrifice. Thor represents strength, impulsiveness, direct action. They are almost opposites. And that creates a silent conflict. Thor was born as Asgard's ideal defender. But Odin never wanted just a warrior. He wanted someone capable of understanding the hidden gears of fate. The problem? Thor didn't see the world the way Odin did. While Odin sacrificed an eye for wisdom, Thor would solve the problem by smashing the whole mountain. Thor spends much of his existence trying to prove that strength can also be wisdom. Odin frequently shows greater fascination with cunning figures. That explains his ambiguous relationship with Loki. Loki represents chaotic intelligence. Thor represents orderly strength. And Odin needs both. This creates a political and emotional triangle. Chapter 2, Thor and Loki, Rivalry or Complement. This is perhaps the most fascinating subplot. Modern adaptations turned Loki into Thor's adoptive brother. In the original mythology, it's not quite like that. But Thor and Loki share countless journeys. And their relationship is deeply ambiguous. Loki sabotages, deceives, humiliates the gods, causes crises. And yet, Thor frequently travels by his side. Why? Because Thor understands something most people miss. Loki is necessary. Without Loki, Asgard stagnates. Without Thor, one represents rupture, the other stability. They are opposing forces that maintain balance. Thor is predictable, Loki is unpredictable. And that's exactly why they work together. When Thor charges forward blindly, Loki spots the trap. When Loki creates too much chaos, Thor sets the limit. Order needs chaos in order to evolve. Chapter 3, The Marriage to Sif and the Agrarian Symbolism. Few people explore this layer. But Sif is central to understanding Thor. Her golden hair symbolizes fields of wheat. Harvest, fertility, prosperity. Thor, as the god of thunder, represents the storm that fertilizes the earth. Their marriage is deeply symbolic. It's not just romance, it's cosmology. When Loki cuts her hair, Thor reacts with fury. It's not a simple because it threatens something far greater. It's a symbolic rupture of fertility and natural order. This subplot shows that Thor doesn't only protect Asgard militarily. He protects the cycle of life. Chapter 4, Thor and the Common People. Thor was the god closest to human beings. While Odin was associated with the warrior and priestly elite, Thor was worshipped by farmers, fishermen, ordinary families. That completely changes how we interpret him. Thor wasn't just the god of war. He was the people's protector. The Mjölnir pendant was worn as protection, far more than a military symbol. It was a household amulet. Thor represents social stability, the god of the protected home, the preserved harvest. of the storm that frightens but also feeds. Chapter 5. The Silent War between Asgard and Jotunheim. The physical battles are just the surface. There is a geopolitical subplot. Asgard and Jotunheim don't just live in open war. There is an ideological conflict. Asgard represents structure, hierarchy, civilization. Jotunheim represents primordial chaos, raw nature. Thor acts as a living border between these worlds. Every battle against the giants is, symbolically, a reaffirmation of civilization against collapse. Chapter 6. The Subplot of Pride. Perhaps Thor's greatest flaw is pride, and it shows up again and again. The humiliation he suffers at Utgarda Loki's castle is essential. It shows that strength without understanding is not enough. That experience transforms him. After it, Thor becomes less impulsive, more reflective. Not completely wise, but more self-aware. It's a coming-of-age arc. Chapter 7. Thor and the Inescapable Fate. Norse mythology is obsessed with fate. The gods know the end is coming, and Thor knows exactly who will bring him down. Jörmungandr. This creates a tragic subplot. His entire life knowing there is an enemy that will destroy him. And yet, he keeps going. That is the essence of Norse heroism. Not winning, but fighting even knowing you'll lose. Chapter 8. Thor's Internal Conflict. Few people realize Thor lives torn between two natures. Odin's legacy, reason, order, strategy. Jord's legacy, instinct, strength, wild nature. That duality shapes everything. When he hesitates, it's Odin inside him. When he charges forward, it's the earth roaring. Thor is literally the conflict between civilization and nature made flesh. Chapter 9. Ragnarok as the resolution of everything. In Ragnarok, everything converges. The rivalry with chaos, the weight of Odin's expectations, the defense of order, the acceptance of fate. Everything culminates in his final confrontation. When Thor defeats Jörmungandr and falls moments later, it's not just a heroic death. It's the perfect conclusion to every subplot. He proves in the end that he didn't need to escape his fate. He needed to face it. Conclusion. Thor is not fascinating because he is powerful. He is fascinating because his story speaks to something deeply human, carrying enormous responsibilities with no guarantee of victory, fighting for what matters even when the end seems inevitable. And maybe that's why, centuries later, when we hear the thunder, we still imagine that some ancient battle continues happening above the clouds.